Hey guys, and welcome to the latest in the SleepyTalk podcast. Today I'm joined with the usual suspects of 4 foot nothing, or Steve as we like to call him, and just that guy.
6'2" everything.
6'2" must be really difficult to walk, mate.
No, what do you mean? No, I'm not quite funny. If it was 4 foot nothing, I was like, I'm 6'2" everything. That was just what I was going for.
Yeah, that includes feet and
Yeah.
toes. Jesus.
I'm confused. Let's just move on. I don't get. It's gone over my head, mate. I'm not in. Sorry.
So today we have a discount code.
Yeah, we
don't
do,
we,
bro.
Ryan?
Well, I don't. You do.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys do.
Yeah,
All you
buddy.
listeners. So, do you want me to plug it for you, or do you want to plug it for the
Well,
first
it's your
time on this
your
channel?
code, bro. I've got my own code, which is equal discount to this one, so you're on par with me. So I'll do mine in my places, you do yours in yours, and we'll have a battle of discount codes.
Alright,
See who
cool.
gets the most.
That'll be a good battle. So right, if you head on over to the eSig shop and put in code Sleepy, you get 13% off any That Guy with Dreads merch. There's some placemats or keyboard mouse mats, and there's also vape juice. So the t-shirts look like
Sexy.
this. Nice design on them. They are sexy. They come in green, red, and blue.
At the moment, it's just
black
we've only
t-shirt.
got green and red. They marked it right now as out of stock on the website because I just keep forgetting to count them to know how many there are in each size and then put them on the website. But you can shout at me or shout at Sleepy and he'll put you in contact with me to grab one if you want one and they're not on the site.
Yep, cool. So yeah, just join the Discord really, and or the Facebook, and send us a message if something's out of stock, because we'll be able to get it for you. And do you want to go through your juices? So we've got.
We have.
Dress
That's the only one
mango.
you know, isn't it? That's why you wanted me to go through.
No, there's the
Fresh
there's
black
the black
currant,
currant,
which is your peppermint and black currant.
and your
No,
strawberry
this is berry
smush, isn't
mush. It's very not a single person other than me
Berry
gets the
mush.
name of that one right though, so I'll let you off. But that's the strawberry cream and biscuit.
there? Yeah, I mean it's. I'm sure it's got strawberries on the
It's just
actual
got
label,
pink.
though,
There's
hasn't
no
it?
fruit or anything on the label. Yeah.
I'll just be why then. So 13% off. Use code Sleepy, which will be on the screen now. So we're also joined today, excitedly, by my other right-hand man, other than 4 foot nothing. He's over 5 feet
on the dot.
and pretty much 6 feet. He's the same height as me. Yeah, we're here with Skotoko Watasan.
Skotoko, what's my name in Japanese again?
It's
We'll go with that.
Skotaku Watasan.
Is this a new thing? You just give somebody like a different name. So I noticed you did it with PT on the last one.
I can't remember what I gave it.
Yeah.
James, yeah, James.
Oh, good times.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, Scott's here.
Nice.
I was going to say, there's no way he's getting away with just that. It's just an intro.
Yeah. Come on. Tell us about yourself, Scott.
I'm here.
Why are you here? What gives you the right to be here?
You invited me here because of a ghost story. Yes.
Did I?
You invited me because of a ghost
Ooh.
story that happened
Tell
to
us
me
more.
some time ago, and still fucking makes me shiver till this day, to be fair, when I think about it.
Do
But-
tell.
So, I used to live in this house on Williamthorpe Road. It's literally close to Homewood. It's like borderline North Wingfield, Homewood. And when we first moved in, it was fine. Like, there were no problems, anything like that. And then, like, a couple of months later, like, weird stuff started happening. And I'm not really one to, like, oh yeah, ghosts are real or whatever. I genuinely don't know. But there was just this weird stuff happening. Like, in my bedroom, there was the door to the attic, and whenever I used to go to bed and turn all the lights off, there'd be this scratching what would run from one side of the attic, and it'd go all the way to the door and then just stop. and it were horrible, and they were scurrying on the carpet. I genuinely thought there was something in my room, and it'd scurry across the carpet under my bed. And I'd go and check under the bed, turn the lights on, and there's nothing there. I cannot explain.
You said this would happen frequently?
Yeah, it were. I wouldn't say it every single night. Like, there were some nights that were peaceful and you wouldn't always hear anything, but then there would be the occasional noise, just these weird noises that don't really have anything to explain about. I mean, with the attic, I thought, oh, maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe like a rat or a mouse or something like that, or a bird's maybe got it. But it was just weird. It had this horrible sound. I thought, no, that can't be like a rat or a mouse. It didn't sound like something trying to scurry, or almost like a scratch running from one side to the other.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next, like the type of sound. So it's like somebody's dragging something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say ghost mice or ghost rats.
Ghost rats.
Ghost mice. It sounds like a... Yes.
No.
It sounds like a comic book. Okay, and so...
Man got a ghost cat, so it was ghost mice.
Yeah, I was hiring at the time.
So the door to the loft, or door to the attic, sorry, was in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there's a doorway and then there's some steps going up to it, or was it like...
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, chute,
Yeah, it was a
like
chute. There
like
was
a-
no sort of like you pull
right,
it down
okay.
and then these steps. It were just a chute. You'd lift the
Right.
sort of door to one side and then you'd go into the attic. But I never went into the attic.
Did
For
anybody?
No.
The rats did. They never came out.
So it wasn't used as storage or anything like that?
No, it was never used as storage. And to be honest, the only people who it really affected was me and my brother. Like these noises and sounds.
And how old were you at
Okay.
the time?
I must have been 15. 15, and I'm 27 now, so it was some years ago.
And what, was you sharing a bedroom with your brother at the time?
No, he had his own bedroom, and he would have been 12 at the time.
But he could also hear it.
He had a different experience to me as well. With the he had really heavy breathing down the back of his neck when he were in bed, and obviously rolled over in shock because he couldn't really believe what were happening, and there was just nothing there.
You had it lucky, didn't you?
Yeah, compared
You're
to him.
really lucky. You've got my face.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
He definitely got the short straw.
So, were these happenings, did they tend to happen at the same nights? Would you compare experiences like the following morning?
No, from what I remember, it wasn't so much like the same nights. We wouldn't wake up in the morning and have like this story to tell. It'd be like maybe a week later it had happened to him or something. It was weird. But I also had like a little built-in cupboard in my bedroom, and I had an airsoft gun in there because I used to do airsoft at the time. And I had the gun leant like up against the wall. But then I heard this like sort of like a crash, and it fell forwards. So when I opened up the drawers, it had fell forward out of the cupboard, almost like it had been sort of like pushed off.
Yeah, so you would have it
the wall
leaning
at the
towards
side.
the back, and it would
Yeah.
sort of... Okay.
And there were just weird stuff like that would happen.
I was going to ask if there was any other strange happenings in that house. But
There was
so, other than the ghost and that gun tipping, would anything else happen that you would have thought was spooky?
There wasn't really so much anything else because we weren't in that house long. To be fair, we were probably in it 7 to 8 months tops, and then we ended up moving around the corner into Homewood. But there was a an incident where I was downstairs during the night because I really needed a drink. So I went downstairs. I got a glass of water. It almost felt like something were watching me, and I turned round towards where the patio doors were, and I genuinely don't know what I saw, because it was like this weird mist, but it like happened so fast, like to the point where I just genuinely didn't know if I seen it or not, or if I were just thinking it in my head because I was freaked out anyway. But it were really, really bizarre.
So did this mist, was it just a mist, or did it take like some sort of shape, or was it like a few feet vertically,
It was-
horizontally, you know?
If
or was
I
it
had to
just-
give it a position, it were horizontally, and it were almost like vapor, like the very end of vapor sort of thing, like, and it was so faint and it just sort of vanished so quick.
Did you hear a whisper of Dread's mango?
Dread's
Because I might be able to tell you what was going on there.
13% off. I think.
No, that was brilliant.
Well, obviously you were 15 then, so
Yeah.
the vaping
No,
wasn't really
it wasn't
the dumb
mainstream.
thing back then, was it? So
I wasn't
No,
vaping anyway
so,
back then as
you
well.
can't blame
so it was just
Dreads.
one of the things I was just like, what the hell have I just seen? Did I even see it? Like, it put me in that position where I just didn't know whether to believe it or not for myself, even though I thought I'd seen this.
Have you, other than at that house then, or that particular address, have you experienced anything? So if I'm just trying to ascertain, is it attached to the address, or perhaps you or your brother?
I haven't experienced anything since, from moving houses and stuff like that. And as far as I'm aware, my brother hasn't either. So I am probably going to say something to do with the house.
Did you live there with your parents?
Yeah, at the time, I was with my
And
parents.
Did they ever comment anything odd happening to them?
No, they never mentioned anything. They just thought me and my brother were being stupid. They never really mentioned anything.
Okay.
It was sort of just like a house to, like, they just decided they wanted to get quick, so they could apply for a mortgage. So
Right,
this
right,
house
okay.
was
Right.
rented. Like I say, we weren't in it too long before they actually did end up getting a mortgage and moved out.
Back then it was possible, but let's not get into that. That's
No.
that's for a
Don't go
different
there.
podcast. So, do you know of any rumors or heard anything regarding spooky wikis? What's going on there?
What's going
Something
on?
just fell in my room.
Oh,
is it propped up against the wall?
No, I'm.
Did
I
it
moved
fall
my chair.
Ah.
It was me.
okay.
Stephen's the ghost.
Damn it. Sorry to all the ASMR listeners there. They're probably just having a heart attack.
So, have you heard anything? Sorry, like, is it like with your experience, Luke? There was a bit of a history there. Do you know if there's any history? Anybody died in that property, or anything weird happening?
I don't have the best knowledge of the history of the house, but I do remember one of our neighbours saying, people who've previously lived there have experienced things like it, but it's not something you believe, is it? Like, straight away, these sort of stories.
No.
To be fair, even though it happened to me, I'd still find it hard to believe myself, as weird as that sounds.
No, I'd like to think that I'd probably be the same. I'd need like some 98% certain type of evidence before I'd jump over to the other side of the fence.
Yeah,
So
and
I'd probably
I
be the same.
think that's where I'm kind of at with it. Like, these sort of things happened. I can't speak for my brother and say, yeah, that's definitely what happened to him. That's just what he told me. But it's like a lot of these things could have had explanations. Obviously, the attic genuinely could have just been something like an animal. and
Yeah, a bit
with
windy up
how,
there.
and obviously wind passing through it as well. And maybe I might have just been that spooked that I was hearing things as well, like with my carpet and the scurrying across my carpet, and just my mind just sort of coming up with these things. But it was just at the time how it felt and how I heard him. It just felt so real, but yet still struggling to believe it.
So it wouldn't just be like a noise you heard. There would be a cagey atmosphere almost that would spook you out along with it.
Yeah, the atmosphere were horrible. Like you just sort of could tell there was something wrong.
I can get that though, because when I stop at the flat sometimes, you hear a noise. It could be the pipes, could be something in the loft bit. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, it's just that. Other times I'm a little, hold up a second, and I don't really know why. Sometimes I'm a little bit more spooked, then other times I'm just like, damn pigeons in the roof, when I'm not sure either way.
So, just going on about you said the atmosphere, Scott. Describe it to us. So, how did you feel when you were in that? And what did the atmosphere feel like? Because we've had a couple of people say what they sort of felt for the atmosphere. So it'd be nice to see like if yours tallies up with theirs or not.
Yeah,
it might be the difference between different types.
The atmosphere
of things,
felt very like unsettling, like as if I wasn't like alone. It were, I don't know, it kind of made my body feel really cold and all at the time. It generally was that sort of spooky atmosphere drop where it almost felt like I'm believing what's happening, but at the same time I'm just not. Like that's how I really feel about this situation. Like I want to believe it, but at the same time I don't. But the atmosphere felt really heavy and just completely off than what it would do if you normally walked in your bedroom. Normally it feel pretty chilled out, wouldn't it? Because that's your space. You go in your room, chill out, or to sleep or whatever. But it almost felt really unwelcoming.
So is it like a pressure then, more than
a pressure?
Anything? Yeah. So you said it felt heavy. Was it almost like a pressured atmosphere? So going off what you said, you said your body felt cold.
Yeah,
did the atmosphere feel cold,
just
or was
felt
it just
cold
you?
in my room. The house wasn't cold itself or anything like that, but just my room felt cold and off. And like I say, there was that sort of heavy atmosphere where it just felt like there was pressure in the room.
It sort of almost ties into my sort of beliefs in lost senses that humans have. Like the feeling of deja vu, or walking into a room and knowing something's not quite right, but not being able to put your finger on it, is just remnants of something that we used to be able to sense, perhaps, that we no longer can. And maybe these whole spiritual or spooky wooky experiences, because you can speak to lots of people that claim to have had experiences. When you say what did it feel like, they all turn into Scott here, and they just use the same words because we don't have anything to explain it yet, because
I think that's it really. It's hard to explain it, like to explain how something kind of felt.
It's like trying to explain color to a blind person. It's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I'm feeling at the minute. Like I'm finding it hard to explain because it was just how it did feel when I was there, but I can't really say. Like, it kind of made me feel like I couldn't sort of move. My feet were stuck to the floor. I was frozen. Like it's just one of the things. It was just this horrible feeling.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because we have to go on sort of the person's retelling of the story well, that's what I do anyway. I listen to the story back, I listen to the person explain their experience, and it's more about how they explain it, like the tone, the pacing, the words they actually use. That says more to me than the details of the experience, if that makes sense. And I pick up from you that it's almost frustrating for you to not be able to explain it properly.
It is,
to,
yeah. I think, yeah, that's
to other people.
one way of describing it.
Yeah. I suppose when someone doesn't really know what they're going on about and they're sort of like making it up on the spot, they kind of and ah and make excuses.
Until it's
And I
scientifically
think,
proven,
with
there's
Scott,
not going to be the right terms to use,
yeah,
is there really?
yeah. No, but with Scott, he's not making excuses. He's saying, I just
It
That's
was
what
one
I
of
pick
them.
up. Yeah.
it felt like this.
It was one of
Yeah.
them situations where I do believe I experienced it, but at the same time, it's just so hard to believe, even for myself, let alone explaining it to people. It is a tough one. Yeah.
Frustrating. Yeah. So, going off what you said about your brother, so you said one experience that you mentioned of him. Obviously, I know my Raipai, the other Raipai. So Ryan doesn't really come across as the sort of guy that gets spooked. I don't know what he was like as a kid, but
less spooked,
generally speaking,
less spookable the younger I was. Yeah.
Yeah, like you know. I'm not talking about you. I'm
Sorry,
talking
my
about
bad.
Scott's brother.
Okay.
That's why I said the other
Sorry.
Raipai. So we'll say Watson 2.
Watson too.
He
Big
the
what?
big
Big
Watson.
what? Let's just call him that.
Big what? Yeah, big what? He's not a guy that sort of I think would be scared of anything. Really, you know, he's a tank and he's Scott, so you know. So for something to scare him, I know. Granted, he was 12 years old and probably was a lot more scared than he is now.
That
but
was
you'd
probably the
think-
most scared I'd ever seen him the next morning. I'll be completely honest. Even though these sort of things, like I felt happened to me, I just found it so hard to believe him as well. Because it really is like that kind of thing, isn't it? It's like Dreads was saying, it's hard to explain and believe, and I wanted to believe him, and a part of me does believe he experienced something like similar to it, and the way he behaved about it was completely different. Like it did shake him up, so I do think there was something that did spook him, but whether it was exactly how he described it, I don't know.
Well, I mean, like you said, your senses are telling you things, and I think when you've got sort of like is it predisposition to it, you're looking at it from like I've had a pretty bad experience in this place. When you go into it, you are expecting the worst, and maybe you self-fulfill your own little thing, but at the same time, like there's no smoke without fire. But Ryan had that experience. What do you know of anything else that he experienced, or was that just the only thing that he told you? Or
From what I can remember, that's the only thing I've like kind of took notice of, because it was some years ago, and trying to remember absolutely everything is kind of difficult. But I think he did say that he did experience like some odd noises like me, like sort of like scurrying on the carpet and stuff like that. But I don't because at the time he had the bigger room and my room was the room with the attic above it, like the doorway to the attic. Yeah,
the doorway to hell.
But yeah, it is quite hard to remember absolutely everything what was said at the time.
Yeah.
So you had noises, perhaps like a presence, but it seems like what your brother experienced with being able to feel something breathing on him was a difference. I was just trying to establish what kind of entities, if any, these may have been, because it doesn't sound like you both experienced the same spooky wookie. If we have to categorize them.
He like you were saying, he he kind of felt it. He felt like this breeze down the back of his neck.
Because that to me sounds more like something that is less dismissible than hearing noises. Not to dismiss, not saying that your experience is dismissible, but out of the two sort of
No, but
versions
it
of
is
events,
understandable. It's
if you can say you felt something rather than heard something, it makes it a little bit more I don't know what the word is, noteworthy, I suppose, but it doesn't sound like if it, you got ghosts, you've got spirits, you've got demons, you've got and they all have slightly different characteristics and different stuff they get up to in the physical realm. This is probably something Sleepy knows more about, what would it likely to be in Scott's experience, and what would it more likely have been if it's all something different in his brother's experience?
Well, I mean, stuff being moved would generally be referred to as like either a ghost or poltergeist, depending on the severity. So poltergeists tend to throw things and move things and blah blah blah. I'm not like savvy on all the terminology of different ones. I just know that like if you're experiencing one of them, you're having a bad time.
Because I mean, the feeling breathing,
but
that just brings me back to the was it the sleep demons? You spoke sleep paralysis. Yeah,
sleep paralysis
that sounds
demons. Yeah,
more like that to me.
but that's well, given the fact that Ryan flipped over in his bed, would lead me to believe probably not. It generally it's not the. It depends. Like I don't know whether Scott remembers whether he was asleep and he felt this, or whether he was trying to go to sleep and he felt this, or whether it was, Scott had been telling him about all these things that had been happening, and then all of a sudden, like he's going to sleep, paranoid that something's going to happen to him, dreams about it, and wakes up. You never know these sort of things, but once again, for me anyway, I'll always believe that people have experienced something. Whether or not it is something there that they've experienced is another question. But the best accounts are people's own personal accounts, and like Scott felt uncomfortable. I believe that he felt uncomfortable. If Ryan felt breathing down the back of his neck, I believe that he felt breathing down the back of his neck.
sorry to interrupt you, but
No, that's fine. You're the guest.
It's one of them situations where me and Ryan could talk about it now together and still feel like, when we talk about it, like, oh God, we're so glad we're out of that house. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sort of stays with you, but not like
doesn't
again,
affect you, but it stays with you.
Yeah. Like it's not something that affects my everyday life at all, but at the same time, like if we bring it up or we think about that house, we kind of get chills.
I was gonna say chilly willies, but yeah,
chilly willies,
chilly willies and spooky wokies. We're gonna be opening up some sort of chilly willies.
Vegan options, please.
Here's a not a curveball, but like something else to sort of consider. So from our podcast knowledge, we kind of came to the understanding that children are more susceptible to these sort of things because of those lost senses that you were talking about. Like they're able to tap into these senses a
haven't
bit more.
Haven't been conditioned out of them
up until the point where they like grow up. Yeah. So maybe that's the reason why Ryan felt that and Scott didn't, because you said you were 15 and he was 12. He was on the verge of becoming a teenager or a sub-adult.
The sub-adult phase.
Yeah.
I prefer
sub-adult,
the term
big what?
conformist, but anyway.
So maybe he was more susceptible to whatever was happening, whereas you weren't. You were on the cusp of not being that, and that's probably why it affected you differently.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I've heard that myself. Like, obviously, the younger you are, like, more into being a child, you can see it or you can feel it more. But obviously, as you get older and you start to become an adult, you don't. I mean, that's where you hear these stories all the time. Like, my child's got an imaginary friend, or talking to somebody, and yeah, it is. It is a strange one.
If I had a child and they ever
Yeah,
told me it had an
definitely.
imaginary friend, and I caught the child just playing or talking to that imaginary friend, I'm moving house, I'm moving country. Because that's how all these horror movies start. Every single one of them, the kid's talking to this demon that then just tears us apart later on. Nah, I'm not playing those games.
I was going to say the black guy always dies first.
I
as
wouldn't
well,
know
don't
about
you?
that because I'm already gone. Like, it doesn't matter.
But no, like for me, for example, I don't remember like much of what happened like when I was younger. Obviously,
You
my
don't
mum
remember
knows a lot
Margaret?
of what happened.
I remember
Don't
Margaret, and I wasn't
remember
even there.
that much. Well, obviously, I remember the story a lot more now since we've had the podcast, Halloween edition, by the way. I'll put a link.
Nice.
But with my mum's recount of it, obviously, that was weird for me because it was a story about me that I don't know, if that makes sense. Like, I knew bits, but I don't know the full thing, and I don't really remember that experience. And then if we look at the later one where the cupboard doors moving and stuff like that, I didn't notice that at all. Like, there was nothing at that point that made me think that, oh, there might be something here. That just happened, but I was 18 at the
Looking
time,
about 14.
maybe
It popped
19,
up.
I think.
I
Exactly,
switched profiles
Yeah.
on my YouTube earlier today to upload something, and on this profile that I haven't liked that video on yet, it's popped up on the recommended. I'm like, you look about 9 years old. I didn't know you was that old at the time.
I do.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, like 18.
Got baby face.
Wow.
Yeah, bad baby face. It's just a beard. If I trim it,
mate,
it's
at
a
least
baby
you don't know.
face
I look
below.
like a very
Like,
ugly girl when I shave, like clean shave. So at least you still look male.
When I clean shave, I
like-
get ID'd for super glue, so you're all good.
Oh, jeez.
You also lose more respect from me as well when you shave. So
Cheers, Luke.
don't worry. All of you.
I might do it now. To spook you out.
So, so instead of looking like an ugly girl with a beard, you'll just be an ugly girl.
Thanks. Oh, right. You know what? I'd rather be an ugly girl with a beard, still get more action than you, bro. It does.
No, really
I don't.
sense.
I could have many. I could have many and just not know.
But
I hope
don't
I
know,
don't.
do you?
This is what I do.
So, back in the room. So it's. I think it's kind of disappointing from my point of view, Scott, that you only stayed there for 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
I wanted to see where the story ends.
Would you go back? Is it still there? Is the property still there as it was, or is it?
Yeah,
No,
the house
right.
is still there. Whether someone's living in it or not, I'm not sure. But
if it's up for rent, I say we look to rent it out for like a week. Just have a word with the landlord. Explain Wagwan, like we want to just film something there. We'll give you some money to stay there. You just set up all the cameras and whatnot, and all those night vision cameras you've got, and just see what happens.
Yeah, we're meant to stay the night, and I wake up like, guys, did you hear that last night? No, we fucked off home. Like,
Yeah, no. Apart from Steve, we'll leave Steve in the loft just dragging stuff around.
just when Scott's asleep,
Don't
I'll
forget to give him an
I'll climb
axe.
up.
You just peek through the little gap in the loft, and you're just like, man, precious.
mate, Steve just crawls out from under the duvet and breathes that back in your neck.
So would you like, in all seriousness, like be interested in it, or are you just finished with that house now?
It'd be interesting to go back. It
Good
it
answer.
would.
I
It
love
would
you.
be interesting to go back because how I felt then to how I feel now. Like I'd obviously be scared, but I think obviously when you're younger, these sort of things do scare you a lot more.
You don't think to question it at all. You don't want to investigate it. You're like, I heard something. I'm just gonna think that it's something creepy and just roll over and hope it doesn't bother me. Whereas
Yeah.
now I'll be like, I need to go see what that is. So that'd be interesting.
I'm just imagining him just walking into the room and just going, "Power of Christ compels you. Power of Christ compels you."
Begone, demon.
So Scott, did it happen like regularly, or was it just the odd time?
It was like in between. Like it wasn't the odd time, but it wasn't like every single day either.
Twice
It
a
was-
week.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times a
bit
week,
on a
something
schedule.
like. Yeah, like a shift.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
Monday,
like the
Wednesday,
ghost like,
Friday.
oh, it's Thursday, time to scare the shit out of these idiots.
So you said it didn't happen to Ryan on the
No.
same nights as you.
Yeah,
They were like
from
a
what I can
yo-yo.
remember, me and Ryan experienced this at different
Yeah,
times.
I was thinking it might have been your brother playing a prank on you until you started explaining he had things, and if it wasn't for breathing on his neck,
I played a
would've
prank on
thought
my
you-
brother once. I
yeah,
feel
that's what I was
so,
saying.
bricked that back of his
so
neck.
bad.
Pranks, but not that. Yeah.
When this was before we moved there. We lived in North Wingfield at the time. This house wasn't haunted, from what I can remember. I don't remember experiencing anything. But have you seen the film The Grudge? Well, yeah.
Is that the TV
exactly.
one with a girl in the TV?
No, that's The Ring.
Yeah.
The Grudge is the
right, fair enough.
the
not the Grudge one.
Japanese, I think, the Japanese ghost.
Oh,
What
is
kind of does
that-
make that noise? That
Is that the one where she like walks on all fours and turns her head and shit?
yeah. It's been a
there's
while since I watched that.
Yeah,
but-
I remember. No, that was The Witching, wasn't it, or something like that? The spider lady thing. Never mind. But anyway, I'm gonna have to do some research on The Grudge.
Yeah, The
Crack on.
Grudge.
Yeah.
And it did used to make that noise like that. That noise, and I waited for him to go to the toilet. I was just playing a prank on him, and then I literally hid under his bed, and then when he got back in bed, I made that noise, and he shot up screaming, going, "Mom, Mom!"
Wow!
I felt so fucking horrible because I thought, oh, it's the other time you think it's a good idea, and then when you do it, you realise, shit, this is not a good idea.
You went all out. You see, we did that with walkie-talkies. You was under the bed. That's
Yeah.
that's horrible. Because then you would have had to crawl out, and that probably would have freaked him out as well after hearing that.
Yeah.
So what did he do to you to deserve this?
Be his little brother.
Yeah,
Bring that back
He
around.
was my little brother. It was just a prank that went south real fast.
Jeez.
I didn't expect him to get that scared, but he did. It literally terrified him.
You feel concerned, but at the same time, you're like, oh, come on,
Man.
bro. Like,
It's a joke. It's a joke, man. Come on.
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't tell Mom. Punches him. Don't tell her.
So, how do you feel now about? Are you still a? If you had to label yourself in terms of your belief, like how would you label that? In the supernatural. That is.
I think I'm still on the fence with it all. I genuinely don't know whether to believe it or not in terms of ghosts, or anything like that. But I want to believe it, if that makes sense. Like I want to believe.
God damn it! Can we just find someone who's
We
not
just-
on the fence?
Everyone that's come on this podcast on the fence, aren't they?
Because
I see,
Say I'm on the
I'm not
fence,
on the
except
fence.
for my
I would
mum.
say that I'm trying to get on the fence. I'm right up against it, but I'm not on the fence. I'm still.
He's holding on to my
He's trying to pull you
ankle.
back.
I do need to.
Yeah, Steve's on his little
Using you
toothpick.
as
No,
like a-
I'm
an easy
using
way up
Ryan
if I
to
need
climb
get
up.
there.
Yeah, sorry,
That's
Scott, I
fine.
interrupted you, but I just
think
needed
I
to
do
vent.
believe that there is some things in this world that science simply can't explain.
Yeah.
and you could put this down as these sort of ghost encounters and stuff like that. But I think the reason why you find so many people that are on the fence or genuinely like at the side of the fence, not even got on the fence yet, is because no one's really seen one with evident proof, like solid proof that these do exist. You see all the time, like people record videos and there's something what walks across a window or in a picture, but is
You
that
don't
solid
know.
evidence? Like, has it been tampered with? Do you know? Like, you don't really know.
It's like Mount Chiliad in Grand Theft Auto, was it 5? Like, you go up there, you see all the markings and the jetpack and all that. Like, you're like, well, you know how Grand Theft Auto works. This is blatantly something, but nothing's been found all these years later. But people are still like, there must be something there. Like,
I
that's
thought they'd
what
found
it
something now.
is.
I thought they'd
Don't tell me they
eventually
have.
found something.
No.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure
they
they
found
have.
some. Oh no, they
They
found
found aliens,
spaceships,
didn't
but there's
they?
no jetpack. And
Yeah.
that's what was at the top of the mountain on the thing, innit? Like, but people are adamant it's out there. We just yet to find it. But you would have thought after, all this time, every pixel would have been searched. You would have thought after all this time, all the technology would have been used, and there's still no sign of ghosts, and there's still no sign of that jetpack. Yet we just won't let go.
I think that's the problem with sort of as technology's increased and as these sightings have gone up with the use of technology. It's also been easier than ever to edit these in. I mean, I've edited stuff like black figures walking on. in
Yeah, I
the
saw that one,
background
mate.
of
I was
these
impressed. I was like,
podcasts,
how did you do that on a loop? That was nice. Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy, honestly. Just
Paste it
download
on.
it and then just put a chroma key on it, and then you just move it to the angle that you want and have like keyframes in. It's easy, and this is the thing. Like I'm not a pro editor, and I can do it. Like I'm a novice at best. So it's so easy to tamper with it, as Scott said. It's so easy.
Actually,
to do
speaking
that.
of tampering with it, I remember when I was doing the mermaids thing, I thought I found real footage of a mermaid, and it turned out to be, even though it's from ages ago, a manatee diving back into the water, or a sea lion, or one of those flap around on their belly things. That was just edited to look like a mermaid, and I was almost fell for it until I saw the genuine footage.
Yeah, did you see the documentary one?
I've watched a lot of stuff with mermaids in preparation for that podcast.
There was a documentary that was faked. It was like a crowdfunding.
I've
thing,
seen that, yeah.
Where and it was like 10 years ago now, and at the time it was so believable. It was so well done, and it was a documentary on it. And we found it. They saw one come up to the side of the boat or something. Or was it a submarine?
Yeah,
something like that.
Name it with Mermaid's Body Found, if anyone wants to know.
I did see that, but I never watched it because I was like, by that point, I was like, look, this is clearly going to be some fake stuff because I'd seen so much fake stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I might check that out now.
But it's so. You're talking 10 years ago, It were easy to do. Well, it were difficult to do then, but doable. And now it's like really easy to do now. I mean, you look at all these YouTubers that do short films and things. Your guy, Ryan.
Mr. Stitch.
He's
Big up
Mr. Stitch Films. Yeah,
top filmmaker right here.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get him on. Just to talk about his stuff, but he does. I'll leave a link anyway because we've talked about him. He does some really good short films, and they're very well edited, and they are believable. If you said this is an experience, obviously you've got different camera angles and things, so not overly believable, but it is very good editing, and it's very good work, and the stories are very compelling, and
when you enjoy something for its art as well, it makes it all the more believable. I suppose that's why I believe a little bit in ki and inner energies and stuff, because I watch so much anime, so I've just been like, it's gotta be real because I like it. It just makes it easy to think that it is out there when you come across something that's done so well, so professional, like it's like it's been presented to you as a piece of education. You know what I mean? Why would they go through all of this effort if there wasn't something in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is why I'll take people's accounts and believe that they. Obviously, some people are going to lie, and we'll always have that. But you can always sort of tell a lie compared to tell somebody's experienced something. Whether their experience is true or not is another story. But you can always tell when somebody's being honest about what they've
This is
experienced.
what I was touching on earlier.
Compared
Actually,
to
when I pointed
it
out how it was struggling to find the words to explain what experience when you was talking earlier, Scott. Even though the way you told your story was very different to the way Mrs. Collis, Mrs. Collis told hers in two very different personalities. The stories were similar-ish things told in two very sort of different ways, but it was how he was telling it that made it just as believable for me as it was when Mrs. Collis told her story. And that's what it's just listening to you earlier on is what made me realize it's more to do with how the person's telling the story rather than what the story is that makes these things believable or not, when they can't be scientifically proven. All you can go on is the vibe you get off the person. That's a problem, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. And again, like, we'll never be able to say what Scott's experience was or wasn't paranormal. But we will be able to say that I believe you, Scott.
Definitely
I
something.
believe you.
I believe you heard some stuff, and I believe that your brother felt some breath on his neck, but I don't believe that it was spooky wookies, if that makes sense to me, simply because I can't break I need evidence in order to believe it.
Well, I'm in the exact same boat as you. That's why I struggle to believe it, even though it sort of happened. Like I still struggle to believe it myself. It is, it's just hard for me to explain, like me saying all this and then going, well, I don't believe it anyway. So, but that's just sort of how it makes you feel.
Do you recall any movies or anything that you have consumed, if that's the right word, that may have caused you to maybe imagine, like, okay, when I first time watched Jurassic Park, I was adamant there was a T-Rex under my bed for like 2 weeks, and I didn't want to go to bed. I don't know.
Steve scrolls out.
Thanks, Luke.
The first time I saw the Undertaker on WWF, I didn't want to go to bed for a couple of hours. Like, nah, that guy's under my bed. Like, I don't want to. Like, do you recall seeing anything that might have been around that time that perhaps would have caused you to fear that? No.
No, I don't remember watching anything like crazily scary or anything like a film that would relate to them sort of things. That caused me to like sort of feel like this was happening.
Okay.
And just to say that two people had an account in different situations,
that could be coincidence. So that's the thing. If they had similar stories, I'd be like, okay, that's a point towards it. But because they're different, that could merely be a coincidence. Like, maybe your parents are playing pranks on both of you and you didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking because they're so different, that maybe like there is something there. Again, I'm sort of on the fence of whether like ghosts exist or whether it's just a creature that we can't perceive. We only see in certain dimensions and we only see certain colors. So what's to say that there's not something that's evolved to not be seen by us?
Imagine actually becoming aware of a creature like that, comprehending a creature that is there, but able to comprehend it, but yet we're also able to comprehend it has no effect, like in our physical world, in the way that everything else we know. That's just going to tap some people and like, okay, now we can see ghosts and we understand they're there and everything, but now we've got to cope with the fact that they're there, just like this empty cider bottle is here in front of me, but that ghost has no, you know what I mean? Does the science we know doesn't apply to it? It's going to be like almost going back to cavemen like levels of intelligence, just
Mm.
because our super advanced now technology has brought us something new, where all of a sudden realize we're just cavemen. It's just an odd thought, really. It's just something that pops
Yeah.
into my mind.
I mean, if we did discover that through whatever spectrum camera that we have, and we discover that yes, there are creatures, would we call them ghosts, or would they be called something else? And would the
I think we'd
search
have
for
to still
ghosts
call them
be
ghosts, but
a thing?
our understanding of that word will change. I don't think you'd be able to slap another name on it now. Everybody will call it ghosts, poltergeists, spirits. That will all still stick around, but it just wouldn't have the same connotations.
But would the search for ghosts
Oh,
as we
no.
perceive them now
The search, no.
still be a thing?
Yo, it'll go mad. The world will go crazy for ghost hunting. It'll go mental. Like, so if we ascertain the technology to be able to do it in the first place, everyone's going to go out and get one, and we're all going to be ghost hunting like it was Pokemon Go out here. Like that's what's going to happen. Especially you, bro. You'd be at the forefront.
Yeah, I would, but I'd be a little bit disappointed that the answer is
yeah.
there.
It's not romantic anymore, is it?
The answer is no. There's not like the chase isn't there anymore. There's no excitement to it. Like, I'd do it once and then it'd be like, well, I've done it now, and people would just be checking the houses to see if one of these creatures is in there, and probably.
So these creatures, if this did come true, these creatures, would they actually be how we perceive ghosts at the minute? Like our dead people, or just like a completely different creature?
Imagine if ghosts did look exactly like Casper. That would be mad. That would be crazy.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I mean a completely different creature that's evolved or has probably come from like another planet or another dimension.
So it's not a ghost; it's just another.
This is why I'm asking.
It's another species. That's what I'm saying, because I think that the whole would we still be on the search for ghosts if we found another species that emulated.
I think you'd have the hardcore guys, wouldn't you?
Now as ghosts,
you're gonna have the hardcore guys that would sort of shun all these people that got into it because they're hunting these new creatures. Like, no, this isn't what true art is about. You know what I mean? A bit like,
Yeah, think of how many psychics would be like out of work.
Yeah,
a lot. But I still think people would look for ghosts because we all want to know what happens after we die.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things people think.
Yeah.
A lot of people make money from this whole spooky wooky thing off of people's attachment to lost loved ones. People are still going to lose loved ones, so people are still going to, whether it's real or not, still going to claim to communicate with them and pass messages on. And if it's a new kind of species, that isn't the same thing, because it would be a current species, but just further on in the evolutionary chain, perhaps. You know what I mean? If it was an animal, people aren't going to be satisfied that could be the great aunt. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So they're not ghosts that have evolved. I'm saying they are creatures that have evolved to not be seen by us.
Afterlifers, human afterlifers, rather, even if there were some. I would. I mean, let's say, for instance, this podcast is about, discussing things. Is it? Isn't it? What could it be? If something came to light that could be passed as a ghost, but we know it wasn't what we think ghosts are right now, then we're still searching for what we were searching for initially, but something has just been found along the way that is kind of interesting. But that's not what we're looking for. So
yeah. But that's what I mean. So if they emulated everything, so poltergeist, they were throwing things, and then they caught this new species doing the same thing, and then they found millions of these types of species in different properties in different areas, and doing these things, like, of course the world would like erupt in, oh my god, there's this thing that's been living here for how many hundreds of thousands of years, unnoticed, and we think that there are dead loved ones. So the paranormal industry, in my opinion, would probably collapse. You'd still have the, like you said, the diehard ones, but nobody would watch them anymore. They wouldn't be like Ghost Adventures TV shows. They would be.
It's a next level nature documentary.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's just.
Yeah. So would we call them ghosts, or would we call them
those things?
Or would they be called something else?
If I found them, I'd call them Ryanisms. Like whoever finds them is gonna, whoever finds them is gonna name them in it. That's what it's gonna.
Chili Willies.
And he'll have a wild Chili Willy just floating around.
But like you said, I think it would be turn into some sort of like Pokemon Go thing where people would just get these Spectrum cameras or whatever and try and find them. But I do think that, we're going really deep into it before we finish off. I think that people will be checking the properties before they move in and probably exterminate.
Oh, that is an idea, bro. If it ever does happen, we need to set up a business right away claiming to be like supernatural surveyors or something. Like we need to be the first one so we can be established the longest and have the best sort of like, establishment, and we're not ripping you off the rest of the imitations. We are the true ghost surveyors. Like, do you need to know what spooky wookies are up in that place before you put down your deposit? Call Sleepy and the gang and we will rip you off as quickly as possible. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll do it for real. I don't know, but I'm a skeptic, so
yeah. But so I think we'll end that there. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining us. I think Scott will be frequently on here on the gaming side of things. So as you know, the gaming thing is like dropped off a little bit, but we'll be picking that side back up and playing some spooky wooky games, some Chili Willy games.
I don't want to play any Chili Willy games. It doesn't sound like a good time.
You brought it here.
Ryan just sat there playing Seven Sins on Left 4 Dead. But there's the new Left 4 Dead one. It's called Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, I've downloaded that. I still haven't played it. I've downloaded all the spooky wooky games. I've not played them. Just for you, Luke. Come on, we'll get on it.
Yeah. So, well, we'll get on that and we'll organise for us to sort of play that. And thanks again, Scott, for joining. Code Sleepy on the eSig shop.
No. www.theesigshop.uk. There's no .co. Yeah.
Is it just .uk? Fair enough. Yeah. So go to that link, be in the description. Use code Sleepy for any TGWD, that guy with dreads, merchandise, and
concentrates.
Juice. And if you can't find anything, and concentrates. And if you can't find the merchandise that you want or it's out of stock, click on the Discord link below. Send us a message, either me or Ryan, and we'll get on that for you. So code Sleepy, 13% off. Bye. It'll help the channel.
Every spend helps. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So any last words, Scott?
That ghost got him.
Send help, please. No, all I can say is thank you for listening to me, guys, and having me on the podcast.
Thank you for coming on, bro.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, hopefully see you in the future on the spooky games and maybe a podcast or two. We're kind of filling up the team now, aren't we? I think that's it. Scott's the last.
What the hell? What about me? Screw you! I've not even been on it. All right.
You are in the team. You're just that guy that comes and talks, isn't it? Can you remember, what was it, 6-7 episodes where it was like, I don't want to be part of the team.
I want to come and play some video games with you. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not. I'm not. I want to be a elite gamer, mate.
You should play The Forest. That is. Yeah. It is. Yeah.
That's 4 players.
It's a really good game, and it has got some really freaky elements to it.
Something I really want to play as well.
Yeah.
I never got round to doing.
It's a really good game.
Yeah, we'll get on that. We'll get on Spooky Games. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like. If you really liked it, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check out the links in the description. Take care.